Ooh, 1121 has been a bombshell of a patch, and so much has changed in just the last few days, so it's time that Jizz updated the Game Weavers on the 15 most broken champions for 1121. Now as always, you will receive the best room page, the core items, and maybe a tip for each champion, so for more of these top champion videos, smash that like button and let's send it. Now this countdown guys, I'm just going to give you 15 of the best champions for this patch, and you can decide in the comments who the most OP champion is out of the 15 I give you. Now we have to start with the champion who has the best win rate over the last few days, and this is kind of surprisingly Warwick. And the big reason that Warwick is the standout winner of 1121 is simply because everything else around him has been nerfed. So if you think about the top lane in the jungle, lots of champions who go Gore Drinker and Conqueror, these champions are just worse off because of the nerfs that came in. So therefore, Warwick, because he doesn't build Gore Drinker and he goes press the attack and not Conqueror, benefits indirectly, and his win rate at the moment is 53%. And this also has a lot to do with the fact that the Divine Sundra didn't get hit at all. And then after Divine Sundra, if you get Titanic Hydra, which works so well, the cleave passive, because of your innate attack speed, and then Thornmail, this gives you the tankiness and also the DPS you need to pretty much outduel anyone. And make sure you're taking Celerity and Water Walking in your secondary tree, because this is the movement speed you desperately need before level 6 to get around the map and gank lanes. So if Warwick is left open guys, picking him in the jungle role is probably the best decision you can make. Now the only AD carry on this list guys, I know the only AD carry, couldn't I put maybe one or two more, but the fact is that Jhin is really the only standout AD carry so far of 1121, and it's not like other AD carries got nerfed, it's just that Jhin has benefited so much from the recent fleet footwork change, and when you pair this, and you can see it on your screen now, with Biscuit Delivery and Time War Tonic, it gives you an insane amount of lane presence and lane sustain that you can never get pushed out of it, and because you scale well anyway, once you get to Gale Force and Collector, you are an absolute force to be reckoned with. Now as your third item, it really depends. If you need the range because the enemy team is pretty scary to play against, then get a rapid fire cannon, or if you really think you can just hard carry and don't need the range from rapid fire, get an Infinity Edge to capitalize on the 60% critical strike chance, and you will blow people to bits. So once again, I apologize for Jhin being the only AD carry on this list guys, but I can't make up these stats. Now speaking of stats, one champion who has another high win rate just like Warwick, this is Nasus, and Nasus is like Warwick and Jhin combined. You're going to go fleet footwork like Jhin, but you're going to build Divine Sundra like Warwick. And just like Warwick, because a lot of the champions who you struggle against in lane, so if we think of Riven, Fiora, these champions who go Gore Drinker and go Conqueror, these lanes have become a lot easier so you can get to level 9 and scale for free, which is really when Nasus can take over a game. And just because of this, Nasus's win rate has improved by like 2% this patch, so you should still really be picking Nasus into a safe top lane, but even as a blind pick now guys, he probably works just because Conqueror, Gore Drinker, and lots of champions in the top lane have been hit by the changes. Now we're going to head to the mid lane for this next pick guys, and this champion has been great ever since Riot buffed his E, and this is Fizz. And because Fizz's E is on an 8-second cooldown at rank 5, once you hit level 9 and the ability haste you have from your items, it is arguably the most frustrating champion in the game to play against because you can't touch him, and that's on top of the fact that he deals so much damage. And even though Ravenous Hunter got nerfed for running this in your runes is definitely the best of this last row in the domination tree, and as for your secondary tree, make sure you're taking inspiration with Biscuit Delivery and Time War Tonic, and with this of course you're starting Corrupting Potion, and this is really just for those trades and the lane sustain. This setup has a much higher win rate, and as far as your items go, it's pretty standard with Luden's Tempest, Sonya's Hourglass, but I also want to recommend Cosmic Drive guys, because for Fizz as an AP assassin, the ability haste and movement speed are going to give you more opportunities to get around the map and just kill people. So for another patch, Fizz, one of the strongest mid laners and one of the strongest champions on the Rift. Now we're going to head back to the bot lane guys and talk about two supports who are very similar in nature and are also very similar in terms of success, because for the last few days, Soraka and Sona have had two of the best win rates, and that's really because of all the recent Moonstone Renewer buffs and also the buffs to Sona and Soraka themselves. So with Soraka's ultimate ignoring Grievous wounds completely, and with Sona and her new Aficionado stacks, with the new and improved Moonstone Renewer, these two really are forces to be reckoned with. And the great thing about these two champions is that even if you do feed, you scale so well, you are always going to be useful, so don't worry about going 0-5 in lane, you can still come back and carry a game. But the rune pages on these two champions guys do differ, so on Soraka you're taking Guardian still, despite the nerf, just trust me, this has by far as a rune page the top win rate, and then for Sona you're taking a very standard Airy page, but with Gathering Storm as well to help with your scaling. So Sona and Soraka guys are the two premier supports for another patch, and also two of the premier champions in League. Now we're going to head to the jungle here guys and talk about the one champion who is benefiting so much from the Stridebreaker buff this patch. So with Stridebreaker basing its damage more off your AD now and also giving you 5 more AD, this is really great for Nocturne because your base AD is pretty decent, and because the item is giving you 5 more AD straight off the bat, this means that your kill threat is a lot higher. Now Stridebreaker, I understand, has been nerfed so much, but even though the slow is now at 40%. For Nocturne, because you're ulting onto someone's head, it doesn't matter if the slow is 10%, 40%, 90%, it's really all the same. As long as the enemy champion is slowed, this allows you to land your fear and slash away. Just be sure to go Sterit's Cage and then Guardian's Angel after these, and as for your runes, great news, you're not going Conqueror, it's a lethal tempo, and then in your secondary tree, make sure you're taking Eyeball Collection and then Ultimate Hunter. More ultimates off, who doesn't want that? So if he is open, surprise your enemies by locking him in. Now there's one more jungler, guys, I want to draw your attention to, and this is Kha'Zix. Now you can still go Kha'Zix with Conqueror, and this is actually still pretty successful, but because Conqueror has been nerfed and Gore Drinker has been nerfed, the best Kha'Zix build from now on is to go Electrocute and to pair this with a full-on lethality setup. So by going Youmuu's Ghostblade and then Duskblade and then either going Edge of Night or Serylda's Grudge, depending on what you need against the enemy composition, this is actually reaping the rewards because like so many on this list, because everything else around Kha'Zix has been nerfed, so if you think of Lee Sin, Xin, because these are Conqueror Gore Drinker champions, and because these are champions who can really ruin your early game, you are going to get to level 6, get your item spikes for pretty much free, by which point you have your invis and you can just abuse these unaware players in lower elos. Even in higher elos, Kha'Zix is still doing extremely well, so he has to be in consideration, guys, for the best champion of 1121. Now we're going to head back to the top lane here, guys, and talk about the 5 remaining top laners who are some of the strongest champions in League for 1121. Now the first of these champions, no surprise here, this is Camille, and Camille has been so good for so long now, and because so much has been nerfed around her, Camille's win rate has actually gone up close to 2% in this patch. How crazy is that? So just because Camille is staying at that same level, and her items are as well, she is still one of those giga OP top laners and champions in the game. Now another champion who has definitely been good for the last few patches, this is Urgot, and this patch his win rate has improved drastically, and that's all because Urgot is one of these champions just like Camille who doesn't need to go Conqueror and doesn't build Gore Drinker. So because you're going press the attack in your runes and copy this page down, and because you're building Titanic Hydra and then Black Cleaver and then Frostfire Gauntlet, you don't have Gore Drinker in your kit. And also the recent buffs to Urgot have been nice, but still it's really because Titanic Hydra is a first item, because the cleave passive is working with your max W, which you are maxing first by the way. It's like no one can touch you, and because Gore Drinker has been nerfed, even if they do, they're not going to heal back up enough to survive your damage. And of course you need Black Cleaver for the stickiness, the armor shred, and then of course Frostfire Gauntlet, which is going to give you more HP, and this synergizes extremely well with Titanic Hydra, which is in turn going to give you more attack damage. The Urgot, guys, in the top lane is a real force this patch and a real force overall. Now the last 3 top laners, the first of these, this is Graves, but Graves got nerfed this patch, yes you'd be right. So the armor you get from your E is down. Certainly this is important, because for Graves in the top lane you're going to be going against attack damage champions most of the time, so this makes you a little more squishy. But here's the thing, guys, Fleet Footwork Graves, it's not Conqueror, there's no Gore Drinker that you're going to build, so while everyone else goes down, Graves kind of stays the same, or goes up. And as far as your build after you've copied down that rune page, killing Immortal Shieldbow, this isn't Gore Drinker, and then following this up with Bloodthirster and then Infinity Edge, which might sound a little too offensive, you're getting so much survivability and sustain anyway from Shieldbow and then Bloodthirster. The shield you get, by the way, is stupidly OP, and then with Infinity Edge, just like with Jhin, you are capitalizing on the 60% critical strike chance, and the damage you do, you will legit one-shot anyone who comes close to you. He's also super strong in lane just because he's a ranged champion in the top lane, so I'd highly recommend guys abusing Graves for as long as you can. He's still incredibly good. Now one of the last 2 top laners, guys, who is still in such a strong position, and this might be because he got 3 buffs this patch, this of course is Teemo. And for Teemo, your Q's cooldown got reduced by 1 second, the blind itself is lasting 3 seconds at rank 5, which is an insanely long time, especially in the late game when there's lots of damage, and the speed at which this dart travels is also increased. Now I know most of the time you're not going to max your Q first, so you won't be abusing this straight away, but in the mid to late game you can harmonize these Q buffs with your amazing scaling and completely take over a game. It's like as long as you land your Q onto the enemy AD carry or the enemy top laner, it doesn't really matter who it is, as long as it's an auto attacker, you just solo win the fight. Even if you've rounded down the top lane, that blind is still going to be 3 seconds, so as you copy down that press the attack page, even though Ravenous Hunter is nerfed, trust me guys, it still works, and then you pair this with Nash's Tooth, Riftmaker, Zhonya's, Voidstaff, Deathcap, Morello's, whatever you need for the game, it's very hard to lose with this champion item and rune setup. Now the last top laner, guys, up for consideration for the top dog of 1121, and I probably should have saved that one for Nasus, but this is Tahm Kench, and the Toad with Grass and Undying with Anathema's Chains. Not only is it super annoying to play against, but it's really hard to beat, and the Kench is also one of the most consistent top laners because he's very easy to play and he just has a very strong innate kit. The poke and the harass and the damage from your Q is really underrated. The sustain you have with Grasp the Undying, the engage and escape you have with your W, and the peel you have with your ultimate, Tahm Kench is just a great all-around champion. But like I said, just make sure you're building Anathema's Chains first, which is going to capitalize on your CC, and then really the optimal setup is to get a Randuin's Omen and the active in Randuin's is going to harmonize with your W when you dive in there and slow the enemy champions, and then you want to finish your core items off with Frostfire Gauntlet, the HP, and the slow will be too much to deal with. So if Tahm Kench is open, guys, you really cannot go wrong by locking in this champion. Now we've got 2 more champions on this countdown, guys, and they both reside in the mid lane. Now one of these got 4 buffs this patch, and I'm sure you all know by now this has to be Lux, whose win rate has improved by like 2% in the last few days, and this is all because your attack speed has been improved. Your passive, this is going to last a little more if you're auto attacking that enemy or if you're casting your ultimate, and your ease damage is up both in terms of base damage and the AP scaling ratio, and your ultimate is now on a 1-minute cooldown at level 6. This means that you're going to accelerate your scaling because you'll be ulting waves and champions more, getting more golden experience, so you're getting to Luden's Tempest, Horizon Focus, Sorcerer Shoes quicker in a game, and as Lux's win rate improvement suggests, this is just having a major positive impact. Just make sure that in that laning phase you're not throwing out your Q like it's going out of fashion. Hold on to it for when those assassins and close range champions jump on your head, and you'll be fine. You'll be poking everyone out of the mid lane and dominating at the same time. But maybe one champion who can counter Lux in 11-21, guys. This is the final champion we have to think about, and this is Katarina. But Conqueror got nerfed. We'll go Electrocute, because this, guys, even with the old Conqueror, this was actually the most successful rune page for Cat. And when you're taking Relentless Hunter in there as well for the movement speed, you're getting around the map more, you're getting more kills. But please understand, guys, that Katarina is not strong in the early game, well, really until level 3. So just preserve that HP until then, and you will give yourself the best chance possible of actually popping off. And in terms of your items, it's very standard: Nash's Tooth into Rocket Belt into Zhonya's, and you guys can go another patch of abusing the system by playing Katarina. So those are the 15 best champions, guys, of the current patch. So make sure if these are open, you pick them for the next 10 or so days. And as always, thanks so much for watching the video. Please remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future daily uploads. And also make sure, if you haven't already, I can't stress to you enough how good our website is, GameLeap.com. It's linked in the description and comment section. Our Challenger players and coaches are uploading up to 20 videos for your benefit a week. So to get that exclusive access, champion courses, guides, bot analyses, you name it, sign up. And until tomorrow's daily upload, this has been the Jizz.